distribution. Do we have somebody downstairs?
Somebody had to deliver something.
Okay. Well, how do you know to call here?
You got the light on.
Okay, so just find that comfortable space within inside of yourself and say, peace, be still. And breathe. Know that you are the divine one. You are the one that we have been waiting for. Let us realize that we're the ones to solve this issue on this planet. And we now have to wake up our sleepy head and start to galvanize ourselves together as men and women of this sacred world, learning to speak our authority and walk in health and healing, love and light. Let thy will be our will, in, through, and around us this day. As we spend this time in sacred harmony with the rhythm of the universe, we say Ashe,
Ashe.
Ashe,
Ashe.
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 And so it is. Peace and blessings to everybody. Thank you. That was very nice, very rhythmic to the universe. You know, a lot of times we do things, and I don't know if you guys are aware of the rhythm, the beat, the movement, and that was, because it sends energy out into the world. You know, we say that we want to be spiritual, but what does it really mean to be spiritual? You know, to feel the rhythm and the vibrations of this earth. To understand the movement of the tides, the ebb and the flow, you know, the feeling of the new moon, the full moon. What does it mean, and what does it have an effect on your body? And how do you utilize that energy? So today I'm going to present to you Ashep, who's going to be talking to us about this new moon energy that's coming in. I present to you Ashep.
Thank you, Dr. Let's see what this is called. So he's downstairs with a familiar or something. Call him pretty much all.
So you just thought I think I'm gonna have to get my coat. I'm free. I'm chill.
Hey.
Easy.
Peace, everybody.
Oh, peace.
How you doing?
All right, good celebration. So yes, the topic of the day is on the new moon. I know we spent a lot of time talking about the full moon. You know, we got an idea of the power, the significance, the magnificence, you know, of the moon in its full glory, right? We just want to share a little bit of insight of the moon and its newness. What does that mean? As Reverend Rita has spoken, that life's all about cycles, cyclical. Okay. On one hand, we recognize and know by now that everything is energy. You know, it all comes back down to energy. It's all about the energy. You know, the life force, the chi, the prana. You know, you got the atoms, and the atoms just moved by this energy. You know, this intelligence is made good through that. That's wonderful, wonderful. But how do we make this applicable to us in our daily lives? Okay. Same as though, again, back to the moon, a lot of times we focus on the energy of the moon. It's time for the full moon. Things are, for the most part, more highly activated. Excuse me. Specifically, with what energies the full moon is bringing in on this plane. Meaning, we have 12 zodiac, okay, that we subscribe to, and you know, for the most part, every month there's a different zodiac. At the same time, every time there's a full moon, the full moon is in a particular zodiac. In other words, what we're saying is that at the time of the full moon, there are certain energies that's being amplified on the earth, which means it has a direct correlation or effect on our energy as well. Okay, it's from the simple point of knowing that the full moon has an effect on the waves, you know, the ebb and flow of the waves. You know, water, it means that we're mainly water, that has an effect on us as well. As well as, you know, psychological and physiological aspects. You know, a lot of times when the full moon is about, we may recognize in statistics that crime tends to go up. Okay, so there's just a lot more activity goes on, you know, when the full moon is doing this thing. Okay, and as students of esoteric teaching, esoteric studies, mysticism, the mysteries, just here at the Institute for Sacred Evolution, we always want to be mindful of these things and how we use them to our advantage to, you know, encourage us on our spiritual growth and personal development. Okay, and with that said, we're speaking on the full moon and its effect on the new moon. And why is that? Simply because of this complementary opposing side. And what I mean by that is complementary opposing side, or better yet, it's complementary opposite. Okay, what I mean by the complementary opposite is that, again, the full moon is a time where the energy is mostly abundant, is right, it's, you know, doing something. It's a lot going on at the full moon time. Whereas in the new moon time, there really pretty much is nothing going on. A lot because the energy is not there. So again, that's what I mean by it's complementary opposite. On one side, you got the full moon, heightened activity, you know, the waves are up, the tides are up. You know, a lot of activity in the neighborhoods, especially in the cities, you know, where there tend to be a lot of people on top of people. With all that energy going on, there's a lot of, you know, there's a lot of activity going on. Again, whereas the new moon, you know, there's less activity because there's less influence from the moon. Well, what does that mean on us, on our being, on us physical, psychological aspects of our being? And here's Dr. Hall once again. I'm talking about Dr. Hall teachings. Oh, let me see what he's talking about. It's shutting off twice. And so, what happens is, this new moon, it gives us a time to actually impregnate our spirits. Bless you. What do I mean by impregnate our spirit? Well, this is a reminder about this energy that we, you know, hear so much about, that, you know, the universe is all energy and everything is energy, this, that, and the other. We actually have a specific energy within our being that we call our life force, you know, or our chi, you know, our kundalini energy. You know, there are many names for this energy, and it comes in many forms. But the specific one that we want to talk about in relationship with the moon is that energy that gives its rise and flow with the moon. Or more specifically than that, part of our personality, meaning, you know, the moon is a feminine energy, it tends to associate more with our personality, you know, our feminine aspect, you know, with our personality. Knowing what the full moon is going to do, we can actually look at the new moon as a time to plant within our life force, within our being, certain seeds, right, that will be cultivated when the new moon comes, with whatever energies that's happening in the new moon. And simply put, for me, that's done by using the Kemetic tree of life. And I spoke briefly, well, not briefly, we did an entire session on the Kemetic tree of life a few months ago, where it was entitled My Story, the mystery, my story of the Kemetic tree of life, where I just simply broke down and shared the various aspects of self as it relates to the energetic properties of the cosmos. Again, we are the entire zodiac, the zodiac constitution. So we speak about man, know thyself, talking about men and women, know thyself. We're saying, know your zodiac constitution. Know that all the personality traits of all the zodiac, the physiological and psychological aspects of those beings, those angels of light, those deities, is within all of us. And to the degree that we know and understand this and are open to cultivating those, will be to the degree that we are actually whole and complete. Meaning, the more we're able to handle any situation that comes within our life. Because what happens, if we're only looking at one aspect of ourselves, like say maybe our sign, which would be our sun sign or, ascending sign, and we say, well, this is me, this is me, this is me. And, I don't get along with certain other signs, or I can't do things because my sign is this and not that. For example, if your sign may be a Cancer, which is correlates with the moon. It's a water sign, feminine sign, very emotional. But if there's an opportunity for you to do something which is going to cause for, say, a martial temperament, Mars, Aries or something like that, but you're so caught up in, well, I'm a Cancer, I'm watery, I can't do that because that's a different sign. And again, you're limiting yourself and your ability to have success in anything that you wish to undertake, manifest, or create. Because you're looking at yourself as one aspect of the whole versus reminding yourself that I am all things. All things are in me. I am the microcosm of the macrocosm. Okay. And again, with that empowerment, by communicating that to oneself, you're more empowering yourself to again be able to handle all situations. Now, as we talk about empowering yourself through words, which is great, then there also comes the action of doing the work, because faith without works is dead. Okay. So when it comes to doing the work, again, what we're going to share today is a simple tool that we can actually look at and help to facilitate the work of cultivating those aspects in our beings. Because again, every 12 months is a different zodiac, okay? Or more importantly, there's a different planet that's having this influence on the earth using the moon as its vehicle, okay? Now, I did have this turned around because I didn't want people getting too distracted as I was speaking beforehand. But what it actually is the Kemetic tree of life. And it is, simply put, we just want to go over quickly. Like I said, we did have a class on this already before. And for those who missed it, would like to go into detail again, you need to go to the YouTube and watch it on YouTube because it is on YouTube. Or, we do have DVDs here as well. And since we are looking to raise money for our fundraiser, for a small donation, you have to have the DVD so you can take home and, or even give us a gift to someone else who may want to have a little more information about the Kemetic tree of life. We do have those available for a small donation to have our fun. Okay. Right. Okay. And basically what the Kemetic tree of life is, it is our story. When I say our story, it is the people of color, the people of hue, the human race. Okay, it's actually one of our stories because there are so many stories. There are many paths that lead back to home. Okay, and with this particular story, it really resonated with me so much so that I embraced it, I adopted it, I assimilated it with my being. It's a part of my lifestyle, the Kemetic tree of life. That's why I call it my story. And basically, the reason why it is my story is so effective because it explains creation. It explains how we came into being and how we get back, go back home. Simply put, that we come down the tree of life. Up top in sphere 0 is represented by source. Okay, the absolute peace. Amen. Okay, that's what it's called in the Kemetic tradition. Amen. Even Christianity has embraced this by, saying amen at the end of, certain prayers, or has given reverence and edification to, that all peace. Amen. Okay. Now, what happens is, from 0, the first thing that manifests is the omnipresence of God, right? Which is the all represented by all Ser. Okay. And what happens is, all Ser, the first thing that comes is this pure consciousness, recognizing that, wait a minute, I'm everywhere. Okay. And at the same time, right, as I recognize that I am everywhere, omnipresent, I have the potential, right, to do any and everything, right? And I also know because I have the potential, I have the will to do it as well. Simply put, that The wisdom and our power are two separate faculties. Okay, there's the omniscient faculty of being that has to just knows everything. Intuition, we call it Tahuti. Wisdom that just knows everything. And at the same time, there's another part of our being that just has the power to bring into manifestation anything that we will. Okay, so these first three spheres just give us our, in Christianity, what we call the Trinity of God, the Trinity of, of God. Meaning God is omnipresent, omniscient, and omnipotent. Okay, and these characteristics are given, are deified with the names of Osir, Tahuti, and Seker in the Kemetic tree of life. Okay, now what happens is we want to remind you that from source, all these spheres, 1 through 10, right, is like, as I said earlier about the complementary opposite. Okay, this is a complementary opposite as well, because here at source, we have everything from 1 through 10 is actually contained in the source. And as it's contained in source, it is undifferentiated, meaning it's not hot or cold, it's not male or female, it's not this or that. It's everything in the kit and caboodle of the entire universe. Before the universe became the universe, it was contained in what we just gonna call source, because it's the source of everything that was created. Now, the exact opposite of source is where everything is undifferentiated, is where there's a multitude of things, or the 10,000 things. So again, from 1 through 10, from 1 through 9 is the process of how we get to 10,000 things here at 10. And we're going to get to that point. Like I said, we're going to go kind of quickly because this is already talked about before. And as we look at it, it's coming down. Once I have said, okay, recognize who I am. I'm everywhere. Wow, I'm everywhere. I have the power to do anything. I have the power to do anything, and the wisdom to make it come into being. What happens is next, there has to be laws in place. Okay. And spheres 4, 5, and 6 is like celestial government. Okay, where you have the makers of the law here at number 4. The 4th sphere is the maker of the law. Okay, the planet is Jupiter. Right here at 5, you have the enforcer of the law. The planet is Mars. Okay, and here you have the executor of the law. The planet is the Sun. So these 4 planets make up our celestial government, or the government, from creation coming down. And then once you have a government, you need the workers. You have 7, 8, and 9, which comes out as Venus, which unifies externally, which actually brings things together, how beautiful things are, just puts things together so nice and pretty. And then you have what separates externally, planet Mercury. And what that does is it shows how things work, how things are, not necessarily putting together, but how you take apart. Take all the pieces apart and say, okay, this one thing works by all these separate individual pieces, and being able to label all those pieces. Okay? And then what number 9 does is gives birth based upon the energetic properties. Meaning, whatever the energetic properties is that's coming down from source, because all these are actually different levels of dissification of energy. Okay? And as the energy comes down, the various dissifications, what we're looking at here is there's an infinite number of ways this energy can be combined. And there's an infinite number of ways this energy can be combined. Whatever way it's combined, it comes through number 9, the moon energy, offset, the nurturer, and gives birth here at 10. And here at 10 is where we have everything that we call physical, solid, liquids, gases, being on the plane right here, which is great. So that's how we got creation. Now, back to where we once began, we have to make sense of this, meaning that we go back using the same ladder that we came here on. Meaning that we came down from source, we came down through here like this, boom, until we got here. And how we came down, all of these faculties are within us. They manifest within us. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Okay? Not only do they manifest within us, in order for us to get back to where we came from, to this absolute peace, to Amen, which means that we actually should be having heaven on earth. We should be walking around at this point when we have our Christ consciousness. The reason being because with this absolute peace, we have a lifestyle where the peace of God that passes all understanding is God in our heart and our mind. And our heart and our mind can be looked at within the Kemetic tree of life. It's here, 7, 8, 9. It's likened to our mind.
and 4, 5, and 6 is likened to our heart. We'll talk a little bit more about that as we go on. So this basically put the commanded tree of life and came down through all these energetic properties to boom, here on earth, we have our physical body. And our physical body, again, depending upon what do we have more of within our being, will determine more our personality trait from the comedic tree of life perspective. Okay, now I'm doing is speaking about another system of cosmology that's geared us understanding self who self is. Because we realize that the wizard, Brother Tahuti, speaks a lot about the same information from astrology, where he deals more with the actual zodiac. Okay, and one of the differences between the astrology talk about self and the commanded tree of life talk about self is that in the commanded tree of life, we don't necessarily deal with the actual zodiac. We just deal exactly with the actual planets. Okay, and what I mean by that is that the 12 zodiac have a correspondence with 10 planets. Okay, the 7 inner planets and 3 outer planets, right? However, within the commanded tree of life, we don't necessarily deal with 3 outer planets, but simply the main 7 inner planets, which also is reflected in the 7 days of the week, and also within the 7 chakras. So again, for me, this is another reason why it just resonated more with me, because the 7 chakras, 7 days of the week, is just more a simplified way for me to manage self and cultivate self, the various aspects of self, all the zodiac of self. I simply look at the planetary energies that we are affected with on a daily basis. Okay, and again, on the full moon, it's just that much more heightened. So that's what I'm speaking more at the full moon. How can we use this information to really involve ourselves in our personal growth and development? Okay. Any questions so far? Everybody's okay? All right, cool. Moving on. So again, depending upon which faculty we have more of, which energetic property we have more of. For example, number 9, offset, okay, the moon. Those individuals who just like to nurture, just take care of people. Okay, whether you male or female, it doesn't matter. There are some people who just like to take care of people. They, you know, so much so if it's out of balance, they will look to take care of you more than they take care of themselves, just to make sure that you're all right, nurturing you. Okay, that's just a lot of offset energy. Coming up, we have Sebek at number 8. Sebek deals with the intellect, thinking, beliefs, information. Okay, those people who like to talk, who are very communicative, who have a lot of information. That's that Sebek energy, that Mercury energy. Another example is that Venus energy, imagination, imaging, joy, pleasure, sensuality. That's that Venus energy. You know, so forth and so on. Because each one of these, except for Osir, but from number 2 down to number 9, has a correlation with the planet. Okay, Tahuti and Ma'at both share Jupiter. Okay, Saturn is with Seker, Mars with Harry Kahuti, the Sun is with Haru, Venus is with Heteru, and Mercury is with Sebek, and the Moon is with Offset. Now again, we're getting a little bit closer to drawing this into this correlation of the kinetic tree of life and our being, and how we can use this to again influence our personal growth and development, right? So every month, the full moon is and again, the zodiac is governed by a particular planet, right? And so what happens is, if we look at the new moon as a time to simply plant the seeds within our being, okay? Going to meditation, cultivate within our being certain characteristics, specifically the characteristics that's going to be taking place at the full moon time, when those energies are more prevalent. Then when that's what we're doing is, we're just simply reprogramming our personality, okay? Reprogramming to what? To cultivate the physiological and psychological aspects of a particular deity or a particular archangel, okay? Because at the same time, there's also correlation with the archangels here. Like our deity we're talking about today is number 8 in the sphere of tree of life. The name of that deity is Sebek. At the same time, the archangel name for that deity is Raphael, right? The planetary correspondence for the deity of Sebek is the planet of Mercury. And for those who study astrology, know that Mercury governs two zodiac signs, Gemini and Virgo. However, that's just kind of the FYI. We're not going to talk about Virgo or Gemini or Raphael today. We're just simply talking about Sebek from the Kemetic tree of life perspective. Right. Because all tools are good in and of themselves, you know, as long as you know how to use those tools. And again, because all tools, there are many roads that lead home. We're not saying that one is better than the other. But from time to time, we'll just use our language to show comparison, to show how they all interweave together at some point in time, whether the foundation level at some point, they're all woven together. However, the higher you go up, specifically, they kind of branch off. So, you know, I'm just giving credence to Tahuti and astrology, you know, because they're beautiful tools. They're beautiful tools. Okay, but this is coming at you like my story. All right. Okay, before we get out of the set, I just want to talk briefly on climbing the tree of life, or climbing the stairway to heaven. You know, the old days. Climbing the stairway to heaven. It's a beautiful song, right? So climbing the stairway to heaven, right? Starting at 10, because this is what the rubber meets the road. You know, diagonal poles, the exact opposite end of 0. 10, right? The physical body, the electromagnetic spectrum, right? And just simply put, there are certain laws that govern the physical body, especially when it comes to the life force inside of us. Somebody put that we should be mindful of, you know, if you haven't heard the term circadian rhythm, then the circadian rhythm applies for us for the most part in how we should be living our life, meaning that there are certain times that we should be eating food, certain times that we should not eat food, certain times we should be up and active doing things, certain times we should be resting and not doing things. And generally speaking, the time that we should do those is cyclical and it falls in line with the sun. Meaning that sunrise, since the energy is not there as much, the less we should be doing, including the less food we should put in our bodies at that point in time. And throughout the day, it's a sunrise and the energy increase, and the more activity involved, and the more we could put in our bodies, the more activity we can do. And as the sunset, at a certain time, we should not be putting foods in our body doing less activity because the sun is known the energy is not there for us to do certain things. And at nighttime, generally speaking, we should be resting and allowing our bodies to heal and do certain things, assimilate nutrients, so forth and so on. You know, again, being mindful of things that we put into our physical bodies and, you know, keeping it in rhythm with the cycles of life. Okay, this is important here. Now, as we move up, this is where a lot of times we kind of get into stagnation, because even at this physical level, a lot of us, you know, we may go to the gym, be mindful of things within our bodies for the most part. So we're somewhat concerned about our physical body to some degree. Okay. Now it is our physiological and psychological aspects that we sometimes be lacking, giving attention to, especially if we are more concerned with, as I mentioned earlier, about the zodiac, about us being a specific zodiac or a specific sign. A lot of times, even with that, you know, we may, you know, joke around with it, especially when we want to joke around with, you know, who we're attracted to or our experiences with certain other signs based on our sign, right? But in the bigger scheme of things, it could be limited. Again, because we have to realize that all of the zodiac is inside of us. And again, in order for us to really, truly grow, we should be cultivating those zodiacs because they are important. How was that?
I said to our personality.
Right, exactly, to have a whole personality. What is our personality? Simply put, our mind and our heart makes up our personality. That's brain, we'll do it like this. Right? Meaning, As I wrote up here earlier, our mind consists of these faculties as we look at it from the kinetic tree of life perspective. 9, 8, 7, or 7, 8, 9, right? What we're talking about here is that moon faculty, okay, offset. What this is one of the first things that comes, that develops within us as a baby when we start to grow up. It is memory, identification, and devotion, right? Meaning, as a baby learns things by rote, by watching, mimicking, right? So this faculty is open just like that. So what a baby sees you do is going to end up doing, right? And also what develops is identification of devotion to, meaning who are you devoted to? Most children are devoted to their parents. You know, that's the first thing they see. So they mimic their parents and then become devoted to being like their parents, which is great, wonderful, okay? Even better if that parent has an identification with their divinity. Because what happens is that parent is operating a lifestyle that's reflective of their knowledge of the divinity. And they're showing it to the baby, and the babies can't help but to have an idea of their divinity as well. Simply put, that's our sex faculty, right? Also in here is our feelings. Feelings.
Nothing but feelings.
Right. And again, it's our set faculty is there when we come into the world, okay? Because we have these feelings when we come into the world. And all these feelings is just simply, what do I feel? Okay? It is later on that we start assigning various attributes to these feelings and judging these feelings. Then they become either anger, worry, upset, label these feelings. But in the beginning, they're just feelings. Okay? So we have these feelings, and then we have, as we move up, Mercury, Sebek, which is our topic of the day. Mercury deals with our intellect, our thinking, our beliefs, our information. He's known as a trickster, communication, and the crosswords. Somebody put Mercury, we'll just stick with the first three for right now as we continue to move up, paint this picture to get back to Sebek in a little while. But our thinking and our beliefs, right? And our thinking and our beliefs is pretty much based upon who we identify with growing up. Again, if we identify with the divine being, with the higher self, and then we're going to have a different set of beliefs. We're going to have a different set of thoughts than someone who's identifying with a human side. I'm only human, you know what I'm saying? Or that one particular sign that they love, that they're going to just, this is me. I'm just a Leo, and that's it. I ain't nothing else but a Leo. So whatever you identify with, your beliefs and your thinking is going to reinforce that. Which means that you can have things and beliefs that are limiting your personal growth and development. So because you identify with a limited identity, right? Which means that as we move to Heather Root, which is Venus, gives our imagination and imaging faculty, how you see yourself, the image that you portray of yourself will be limited as well as your imagination. Meaning, you know, they say, well, see yourself doing a certain thing, or, you know, if you want to manifest something, one of the ways to do it is use the faculty of Heather Root. We use our visual imagination, okay? So, and when we imagine that thing, we bring up joy. We cultivate the emotion of joy, which is an attribute of Heather Root. With our image right there, it helps to bring whatever it is into manifestation, okay? And again, as I said, that these are all faculties of mind. Okay, when my mind playing tricks on me, get my mind in order. You know, well, we have to look at what we feel, what we think, and what we see. You know, what our energy faculty. So again, as we look at getting our mind in order, this is what we're looking at. And then our heart, get our heart and our mind on the same page. Our will, here at number 6, as we move up, is governed by the sun. Will and leadership. The name of this deity is Haru. Haru. Yeah. And Haru is also likened to Yeshua or Jesus, because what Haru does is he's right here in the center. He's attached to all the other deities, all the other faculties, because Haru is the sun, right? And as Haru sits on the throne as the sun, as he's connected to all the other faculties, right, of being, Haru is making choices not based upon the mind, right? You know, the programming of the mind, based upon that's coming up, the things we program ourselves with and told ourselves, we begin to imagine all those things. Haru says, no, I'm making my decisions based upon, okay, we got to get these connections. Here we go. Tahuti, which is the intuitive fact, the wisdom, the word of God, based upon the law. So ideally, this is how Haru should be making decisions. And again, this is a faculty within us as well. So all of these faculties are a part of our being. So as we go up the ladder, I'm just sharing why it's important to be aware of these things from the planetary point of view, so that we can cultivate them within our being, so that we can actually evolve holistically every month with the moon. You know, riding the feminine energy of the moon, right? Okay, cool. And so that's what our will is for, to really dictate our choices, not really based upon our emotions, but based upon the law, as you get instructions from Tahuti. Now, we could have this information, which is great, but ideally, the more this information is in line with our true self, because we identify with our true self, then the more this information will be correct, and also the more our imaging, how we see ourselves, and our imagination, things that we want to create, will begin to visualize, have visions of creating something that's will benefit society, will be in line with nature, things like that. So that's how this works with Haru. And also, we're mindful as Haru that if we don't make decisions based upon the law, based upon our intuitive faculty, we're able to tap into the intuitive faculty. If we make them based upon our ego, what we really want, then what's going to happen is this karma, which is represented by Mars energy, okay, which is called Hera Kahuti, the kinetic tree of life, is going to come back on us. Simply put, okay. This karma works. They say it works either for you or against you. They say God is no respecter of persons. And so simply put, just based upon the vibration that you put out there. We also talk about the law of harmony. Okay, if you put harmony out there, you get nothing but harmony back. But if you put force out there, you get force back. In the same way, what are you, the purpose of why you're doing the thing? Is it for my own selfish and gotta have because there's not enough, so I gotta make sure that I get mine, or whatever the case may be. There's this karma that comes back, right? And also, as we make our decisions, knowing that we should do them because they're the right thing to do. If not, there's consequences and repercussions, right? As long as we're in line with the law, then everything is okay. And so basically, that's how that heart works. But in order to see it like this, we really have to transcend the mind. Otherwise, it will be hard for some of us to see, how to make actions, realizing that, if something that's so-called bad happens to me, that resonates like, oh man, why this happened? Oh man, what's going on? That is because of an action that we did either consciously or unconsciously, right? So that's what happens with the whole thing. And again, as we talk about really accessing our divine power, right? Tapping into our omniscience, omnipresence, and omnipotence, right? We have to get our mind and our heart in line on the same page, so they're vibrating resonant affinity, so that it opens the way up through our heart, ma'at, so that we can experience our divine faculties. So, and again, how do we do that? By doing the work. And again, one of the ways by doing the work is recognizing that every month there's an opportunity to actually cultivate one of these faculties within our being. And again, what do I mean by that? So we talk about setting, right? Now it's time to get to the word of rubber meets the road. Let's talk about setting. Why setting, right? Yesterday was a new moon, yesterday morning, right? And I'm not sure what the new moon was in, because again, I'm not doing it from an astrological point of view. But if we have time, I'm pretty sure Tahuti wouldn't mind, and I would love him maybe share an aspect of what the new moon is in. Just give you an idea what's actually happening at this point in time. Because what we're speaking about is a future date. Okay, we know the past, present, future is happening at the same time. So we're using the day to impregnate in our spirit what we want tomorrow. So when tomorrow comes, it'll already be here today. Right? Cool. Good water. Still a little bit of redness in my
Fulvic acid.
Fulvic acid, right? That's fulvic acid, I tell you. I just had to increase my dosage a little bit. I was playing around with that thing. Once I got serious about it, I started looking at public acid. Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Woo! Crystallization.
Yes, indeed.
Back to the source.
That's right. That's right. All right, cool. Now back to Sebek. Now, within our being, all this stuff is right here. Let's specifically talk about Sebek. Mercury, right? Sebek also has a correlation with the left brain, lower left brain, right? So within all of our beings, there's a factor that deals with our intellect, okay, our thinking and our beliefs, right? It deals with information, communication. Sebek is also known as a trickster, the crossroads, okay? Some of this we already talked about. What do I mean by the crossroads? We haven't talked about the crossroads yet. One of the things that we make mention of, even in Christianity or pretty much any type of spiritual growth, when you say once you put your foot in that path, it's not going to be walking the field, all roses. That's when really things start to come at you, right? And that's attributed to Sebek, the deity Sebek. Meaning that as soon as you say out your mouth, oh yeah, I've reached this place where I'm confident I can handle all things in my way, or I'm saved, or whatever the case may be, that you put yourself out there like this. And then when that test comes, what you gonna do now? Whether it's something that you said you wouldn't go eat no more, do no more, say no more, whatever the case may be, when it comes up, seems like it came up at the wrong time, but it really was the right time, right? That's Sebek, right? Sebek is the crossroads. So what you gonna do? Okay, choices. Because at that point, when you make that choice, you either open the way or you close the way, as the saying goes. What I mean, if you make the correct choice based upon your discipline and what you said that you're gonna do, then you open the way to advance higher. You pass a test, so boom, you move up. Yay! You're closer to resurrecting those sins, what he said. However, if you don't make the correct decision based upon what you said, your intention that you already put out there, then at that moment you actually close the way. And again, there's going to be another opportunity for you to come for this test to come again to see if you're going to pass a test or if you're going to fail the test based upon the choice that you make at the crossroad that Sebek brings to you, right? That's one of the things that Sebek does at crossroads, okay? Communication, right? We spoke a little bit about this communication. A lot of us know people that just like to talk a lot, which is not really anything wrong with that in and of itself, just very talkative or communicative. That's a Sebek characteristics, right? Now, to the degree of what you have to talk about, right? Whether the information is informative regarding your personal growth and development, or the information is just informative about he said, she said, what's going on, will be to the degree that your communication is actually in harmony with the purpose of communication, right? Because all of these properties up here, again, are within the side of our being. And just like everything on this plane, on this side, everything from source, there is what we call relative truth, or everything has an opposite, a complementary opposite. So again, I would say talking in and of itself isn't a bad thing because someone talks a lot. It is what exactly are they talking about that will determine whether or not it is constructive or destructive, simply put. Sebek is also known as that trickster, someone who just like to just play jokes and crack jokes all the time. That's Sebek, okay? Again, information, likes to get all this information from this place, that place. And again, there's nothing wrong with information. It's just the intent of that information, what that information actually does. Because some information can actually assist you in a de-evolutionary state of your vibratory frequency. I mean, you can receive some information that takes you down to a place where you're not productive about anything that you do. Then again, you have some information that motivates you and encourages you to want to do more, to want to grow, become, to just do some things. So again, it's all about the information that we receive or that we put out there that again will dictate whether or not we're using our Sebek faculty in line, in harmony, or not in harmony, right? And why it's important by using our faculty in harmony, not in harmony, again, because the more harmonious that we use this faculty, and the more harmonious our physical body will be as well. Because again, all of these energetic vibratory frequencies come down from source in various levels of densification until we reach the physical body, which means this physical body is nothing more than all of these energies, right, coming together, right, boom. So to the degree that these faculties, energetic properties are in balance within our being, will be the degree that our physical body is also resonating in health, good health, radiant health, optimum health. For example, I attribute Mercury, Sebek with the throat chakra. You know, communication. That's the biggest kicker right there. Communication. Because the throat chakra is all about communication, as well as these other deities. You can find places also within the chakras for them as well. So again, as we look at this from an energetic standpoint, from a personality or physiological, psychological standpoint, and again, it has an effect on our physical being, the way that we think. Again, Sebek. In fact, there's a saying also in one of the books that we read by F.W. Sears. The quote says, "Stand guard continually at the door of your mind and let in no thoughts that you do not wish to out-manifest." Right? And that quote, which we had to write down on our mirror in that class, is representative of Sebek. Because that's what Sebek does. Because Sebek has other names also. Well, I guess it would be depending upon the time frame or the system, such as Anubis, Antwat, and Pu. Right? These are just other names for either Sebek or the deity that closely, or various aspects of Sebek. Just like you have with all seven, Hedaru, Hawthorne, you know, they're pretty much the same deity, but we separate them just slightly because they have slightly different variations. But the same thing with Sebek, Anubis, and Pu, and Antwat. Whereas one is known as the guard dog, because the image for Sebek is the jackal, okay? The K9, good guard dog, you know, stand guard at your mind. That's what Sebek does, guarding your thoughts. And the idea is, if the thoughts are not in line with your higher self, if you're not identifying with your higher self, right? What I said, as these thoughts come in, Sebek says, no, you can't come in here. No, you gotta go someplace else, right? So that's what Sebek does. And again, even because it's in F.W. Sears' book, a lot of the positive attitude books and, you know, motivational speakers, they all say the same thing, right? They don't have to talk about the kinetic tree of life of Sebek, but they all talk about your thoughts and the power of thoughts and what your thoughts do to you, okay? Your beliefs. Now, this is one of the key ones right here with Sebek is your beliefs. Well, all of them are key, but your beliefs and your thinking, your intellect, everything, they're all communication, you know, they're different words, but they're all combined together, because what you're communicating is what you believe. And what you believe is the thoughts that you've been thinking over and over again, based upon the information that you got growing up, you know, which as you put, and depending upon how you put it all together and deliver it, will show your intellectual ability to put this information together in such a way that I can, you know, that's very intellectual. To have all this information that I've been thinking about, you know, that shaped my belief, I have communicated very well. Right. But if it's on sand or the foundation is not right, based upon our set, then again, it's something we must look at. So, how do we move from this information to making this applicable? Well, what I do in my life is on the new moon, again, I meditate on these attributes of Sebek, of Mercury, right? And we're also doing it here at ISE as well, whether we realize it or not. Even though I do must apologize because this past Thursday,
ISC group meditation, we actually should have moved on to Sebek, into our thinking and beliefs. However, we ended on had a root, which was last 4 moons meditation. So we are slightly off, but this week we're going to be meditating on our thoughts and thinking, so we're going to get back on track this week with our noonday meditation. But we're not so far off because actually early on when we actually started these meditations, we actually began with this in mind. Because the first meditation that we did was meditating on self, knowing who am I, getting an idea of who self is, and that identification going. And then from self, we went to our thinking. What am I thinking? What am I communicating to myself? And then from that, we went to had a root, our imagination. And then it was during this cycle where I realized, well, wait a minute, this is more of the initiation process, because this is actually part of the boat meditation initiation system, which is like the heart touch therapy of self-realization. And as well as the initiation system in a Sarah Society, where you begin at the bottom and you meditate on these faculties in your beings. So we just switched up from going to the initiation sequence of meditation to the actual full moon cycle of meditation. So that would just simply have a little bit better impact on our being. From the simple standpoint of whether you meditate or not, so we at least put it out there. And by you coming around ISC, there's just some type of osmosis being taken place with the cultivation of this aspect of your being just by showing up. And just because we're doing it, on a regular basis. Okay, as we transmute and do our things, mental affluence with this energy. Okay, so again, for the next 4 weeks, well, really, I guess 3 weeks now, we're going to be meditating on Sebek. And we're going to meditate on our own thinking and our own beliefs. We just want to look at what do we really believe? What do we really believe about ourselves? About God? About the world, about what's going on in the world. What do we believe about that? Okay. Our communication. We want to focus on what am I communicating to myself. Knowing that our communication is based upon what we believe, we just want to focus on what am I telling myself on a daily basis. What am I telling myself? Okay. And what we tell ourselves is going to reflect in what we tell other people also. Because at this point in time, I don't think we're so far, separated that we tell us, we tell ourselves one thing and someone else something else. How in line can both of those communications be? Okay, with what I'm telling myself and what I'm telling you. Are they the same, or am I unequally yoked? And that in and of itself would be a problem as well, because the communication, the effective communication, it must be the same. And again, this is all pertinent to our personal growth, spiritual growth, and personal development. Our intellect, our thinking, our beliefs, our information. Now, information is a good one because we want to just, for the next 3 weeks, look at the information that we have already. Okay? Because I know a while back I had to do that for myself. I took a look at all the information that I had. And I just say, well, how could I arrange this, trim off the fat, and arrange all this information that I have was beneficial to me and what I'm looking to do my personal growth and development. And what came about that for me was the boat meditation initiation system, the breath of life training meditation initiation system, which, as I mentioned, is the heart touch therapy of self-realization. And now what I've done was I realized that I have a lot of information about various paths to self-realize, whether it be through meditation, most of them through meditation and various techniques of yoga, Kriya yoga, Tantra, this, that, or the other. And so I just simply looked at all the information I had and kind of went inside and said, what resonated with me? And I took those things that resonated with me and I put it together in a pack and said, okay, cool. This is my lifestyle, period. And like I said, the both meditation initiation system came out of that, in which this is also part of that initiation system, as well as something I call the essence of one. So again, it's about taking the information that we have, looking at the information that we have, and seeing how it's beneficial,
and realizing if it's not beneficial, then why do we hold on to it, right? And again, because of the, I put the Mercury and Sebek communication with the lungs, and again, this is also the season for the lungs. It's the perfect time to just let some things go. Use the lungs to let go. If the information does not benefit me, just simply let it go, right? And so therefore, my communication will be more in line with, I'm only talking about things that are matters to me and my personal growth and development. And of course, the more I do that, it will change the relation with those who come around, which means that some people will come around more, others come around less, and those who come around more, our conversations will change, the dynamic of our relationship will change because we're talking about things that are more of essence, more weighty, you know, more core to our being. So it definitely has an effect. Okay. And again, because we know that 7 days with the crossroads, over the next 3 weeks, just want to take a look at as choices come up before us, realizing that this is the season to cultivate within my being this faculty of taking a look at something and saying, okay, this is Sebek here. What choice must I make? And making that choice based upon, you know, my beliefs, what I've been communicating to myself, based upon the thoughts that I've been having, which was based upon the thinking, based upon everything that happened in my life previously. You know, so a lot of times, you know, Tahuti like to remind us that there's a difference between our thinking and thoughting. You know, yeah, we can thought and we can think. In fact, we do think and we do thought, right? What's the difference in the thinking and the thoughting? Well, when we have a thought, usually that thought is because of the thinking that we've done already, right? Unless it's a pure thought that has nothing to do with the information, it just comes straight from Tahuti, right? And how would you know whether this thought comes from Tahuti is straight intuition, or whether this thought came from your thinking about the program that was already within you? It's just something that you have to go within to just feel and hear and just know the difference, right? And the more that we look at every month going within, programming within our being, various aspects of ourselves that we know that are part of ourselves, then the more this will come about. Because this will only require us to look at ourselves more on a monthly basis. You know, at least twice a month, look at ourselves more. You know, the new moon time, I just look at, okay, I need to plant some seeds within my being at this new moon. You know, even if I just say a few words in the new moon time and just let it go, that will do something. So then when the full moon time, whatever that we implanted, you know, it says, I need to work on my beliefs more, I need to get on my information more. And then the full moon time, it is more so, just like magic, you know. But again, of course, you know, the more our attention and intention is into a thing, then the more the manifestation of that thing will be likely to happen in an expedited way. Okay. So that's pretty much it. What I have about the new moon and Sebek, and how it relates to the other topics we're not being. Is there any questions? Yes.
You made a reference between mind and heart, between 5, 4, and 6, 8, 7, and 9. But what about 1, 2, and 3?
Oh,
What faculty is being used?
my soul power. So my heart and my mind together form a personality. Because I have personality, smile, personality. Right. Yeah. And so on paper, I look at this like, wow, so there's my mind, there's my heart, and together they make my personality. So each month as I cultivate a various aspect of my being to make it whole, to make it complete, to make it in line and in harmony, I'm actually every month balancing an aspect of myself, whether it be my mind or my heart, so that they are vibrating in resonant affinity with the way they should vibrate in trust, you know, and love, instead of fear and doubt, and love and trust, which means that now my soul, 1, 2, and 3, have an opportunity to infuse my personality.
Which is carried in your physical with 9 and 10.
Yes. And so you're looking at then a soul-infused personality, spiritualized body.
So that would be the the 4 aspects. So if you put physical here between 9 and 10, so that would be the 4 aspects, which is the always the beginning of the total atom.
There you have it. Science of self. Yes, I have been looking to do a little short series.
That's great. SOS. Your divine help.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah, your divine help.
That's all
Divine
right.
help.
Yes, Dr. Hall.
Yeah, this crossroad that you mentioned, it's very interesting. I just did a group dynamic on what do we own in terms of are we capable of handling it at 8, but if you don't have enough intellect, then you have to have enough imagination. Because some people can't see the capability that they can control it. You know, that's sense of control, you know, is part of our being. You know, in control, out of control. So at that crossroad, that intellectual thinking, that level of the beliefs, we must be certain. In other words, if we're not capable of handling any of that, you know, either we got the skill to do it, control, or we don't. So if you don't have control, in this case, it's a primary control is that you're capable. You should be at 8. If you don't, you're gonna need some imagination. Because you can either you can solve it or you can imagine solving it. But feeling more, what you're saying, back to source is that now you're fully engaged effortlessly.
Right.
Effortless.
Right.
So there's no effort. It's below everything. Heart requires will, mind requires engagement. You know, but when we get through soul, it's effortless.
Right, effortless. That's why the work is down here.
Right. But it's that crossroad where
Right.
people get at in mind, you know, in terms of beliefs and things of that nature. But particularly people saying at that point, can we handle it? Do we have the control?
Right.
Are we out of control? Are we in control? If not, they said the primary feeling should be, I can handle it. If you can't handle it, then you're gonna need a strong imagination.
Right.
Huh?
Right.
That's where the seeing yourself or believe, just imagining yourself
Right.
solving the problem
Right.
versus and getting control.
Right. And they work hand in hand. The 7 and 8, the imagination and the thinking, the beliefs, work hand in hand.
Because it's like optimism, you have to exceed. If
Right.
the intellect falls short,
Right.
then you got to develop.
Right.
If
Right.
you don't develop it, either you're incapable of handling it, you're incapable of imagining it. That's what people are. Incapable of handling it and incapable of imagining it.
Right. Right.
That's why.
What word?
That's why I don't use that word. I don't really like it too much. Because you got that word lying in it. So you know it or you don't know it.
Right.
In control, or if you
You're
have
out of control.
Yeah,
You ain't
in
control.
control.
That's why that
what
word-
you're feeling at that
Yeah.
point is really the whole essence of
I don't
getting
use
to
it.
the
I don't
source
like
is
that
to
word.
be absolutely free and effortless.
Right.
There is no struggle. There is nothing. The traits are there. You develop. You must work at them.
Right.
But to get to the effortless part, most people don't. Well, it's a hard crossroad.
That's
You
right.
know, but once you go into heart, then you go into intuition. You know, you're a little bit further up. You know, if hearts are open, appreciative heart and gratitude. But it makes sense when you look at it. Back to the source is effortless.
Yes.
So as a result of this, let me see. What I'm understanding is every month we have a new moon, and we need to work on a particular whichever sign is within that moon. To work on this month is the Mercury 7. And can you spell that for me? Because I was trying to write that.
SEBEK.
Okay, thank you. So I believe that's what I'm getting, even though I didn't use that word. That's what I'm getting from this is that when there's the new moon and what we can do in the physical is work on, this is doing the work as like Yana Bonzon says, within a certain zodiac or the signs that are within that moon.
Right. Or the planetary.
The planetarian, right.
Right.
Planetarian. I wrote that down too. Okay.
Right, because you can look at also the, like I mentioned this, if I'm not mistaken, the full moon being Gemini. You know, you can also look at the aspects of Gemini, those characteristics, even though you're not a Gemini per se,
Right.
but you start realizing that the Gemini's vibratory frequency is in your being. You need to just cultivate Gemini as well. Right, the traits of Gemini as well.
See, but the image, that nurturing you speak of, right, working on those parts. If one goes to the level of heart, right, and they have not got through the crossroad, yes, you can work on 5 and 4 heart, but if you don't have the nurturing between your ability to have control of your reality way before you get the heart, it must be, you can go there, but if you haven't gone through the crossroad, that's what in the mind, that's where either the indecisive, decisive, with the power, you either have it or you don't, or you got to imagine. And most people subdued senses of imagination have been subdued. That's what you're saying. We're subdued. So now it's time to cultivate, go into the activity to activate.
Right.
Because now we're giving up more, we're feeling more, and then it becomes effortless. And that's really what we want to be. We don't want to be stuck between, you know, the belief or imagination. You know, you want it absolutely effortless.
Right.
And that is the work. But you can go and say work on your soul, but yeah, you haven't even gone through the crossroad.
Right, and it won't work that way. Can't put the cart before the horse.
That's correct. Yes, you can work on any number of things, but if you're not clear about that you're transcendent, you mentioned that word.
Right.
If you don't have the prudence, you know, and the humility and the forgiveness, and that's what most people that mind line right above, you know, who they think they are.
Right. And that's what the initiation is all about. As I mentioned earlier, the actual initiation is you start here and you're going up, spending a certain amount of time on each level within.
Feeling more, but sensing,
becoming
unsubdued. Because once we're subdued in that, we can't handle it, we can't imagine it. So, it's, stuck in the middle, too high to get over, too low to get out there. Stuck in the middle. So now you get into.
Is that a song?
Michael said, stuck in the middle. And the pain is a killer.
Right.
Pain killer, but that's where the rubber hits the road in terms of belief and imagination. You can go and say, hey, I got heart, but we already want. Intuition, sure you don't have. But when you're sensing more, see the whole aspect of living is how much are we sensing? How much do we really sense? And most of us that are stuck in subdued, no sensing, because we're sensing that we got to make effort, that it's got to be controlled, and we don't let it go into the soul, where let the soul run your life.
You know what, Dr. Hall, that is exactly what I was saying just before you got in here. When I was asking them how much were they actually sensing their life, were they feeling, because Ashep was playing the drum. And when he played that drum, there was a moment that it was the connection. And I asked him, I said, did y'all feel that? Did you sense that sense of connectiveness that he played on the drum? And he's done it one other time. And I asked him, I said, when you did that, he played the chime. And I asked him, I said, when you did that, where were you?
Effortless.
Yeah, it was effortless. But I wanted to know if he knew where he was when he did it.
And that's really,
and
that's source.
Yes.
Not the struggle.
Yes.
But I mean, that he's saying the trait, so yes, you should work on every aspect of it. But if you don't work out between your belief and your imagination, if you can't see yourself handling it, if you don't feel that you can handle it, or you can't imagine that you can handle
it. And that imagination part is being taken away from us because everything is given.
Right.
And people don't use their imagination, even though they'll say to you, I don't know, I don't see nothing.
Right.
But you've got to cultivate the
Unplug.
imagination.
Play off of is that, because you're talking about the numbing of senses, but I remember where I read it, but they're talking about universities and the concept behind a university is to help to make a person universal.
Right.
And whole.
Knowing
That was
more,
the concept.
sensing,
That was the concept.
Right.
But
sensing
then
more,
they
feeling
took
divide you everything.
Exactly.
So you have only intellect and you lack imagination. And as they take the arts, music, and all of these things out of school, then they stop people from the ability to imagine something beyond what they've already experienced. So you could say even systematically, it's taking people away from you know,
Plugged in.
from childhood.
Plugged in.
They're stopping that ability because as a child, you come out, you think you can fly, you think you can
Right,
do this,
that's
you
right.
know, you can play without toys, you're just
Right.
having fun, and then all of a sudden it's like, no, you can't run around and play
The
without
heart
a
is
toy.
up.
You look crazy, you
Free
know,
will.
you can't do this one. So then you start pushing back on all on that, know everything, and then you get this person that's compressed and they're locked in their
Plug
mind.
into the
And they're only
communication.
in thought and logic.
And like you said, what communication are you plugged in? If the communication does not take you beyond the crossroads, should take you into the heart to get to source. Because once the heart intelligence, that intuition stops, it's a flat line at that point. You'll never get to the soul.
And that's what we deal with, and that's why I'm very frustrated in the school system. I'm sure the readers here about to follow up because we deal with that all the we get this. We being the social workers, we supposed to be the superheroes of the cake and come in and rescue. But then when they tell you what the situation is, you're saying, okay, well, this child, first of all, you're trying to squash who they are. And you're saying things like the words I cannot stand, especially now since I've become the IC and been taking the class. I don't like the word appropriate because and it was just used recently by one of my colleagues, and I said, well, what do you mean appropriate? Okay, if he's running out of the school and screaming, there's something going on. Okay, and it's still it's a crossroad. Right, it's a crossroad. But what I'm saying is what I deal with is them trying to squash in the Venus, in the imagination. I feel
But
that.
you know what I'm doing? Not to interrupt you, but are those children actually being who they are or who they created them to be? Because of the formula that they were on as a child, the vaccinations that have been put into their system,
because it was told that it was
that was needed. So those children are really not even having the opportunity to feel, to express who they really are.
And I finally got my Mantua book, and I've read it before, so I kind of, and they have section there about children and mandalas for children. And I told one of my colleagues knew what a mandala was, and I said, I think I'm gonna start incorporating that in some of the time when I'm working with the children, because if your teacher is not gonna let you do your
regular,
then Miss Brown is, and then maybe I can go back and relate to Miss Jones, Miss Doe, or whatever. See, this is what you're dealing with, not what, like you said, what they have created. Exactly. This is really what John is trying to tell.
Because anytime they tell children that you have to sit in a square, just like these squares, you have to cross your foot and they have to come down. If they can't do that, then something's wrong with them. And they start that at the little age. I'm like, because some of them want to sit like this, and they say you can't sit like that. But that's who they are.
That's a cultivation you find, like to help the field I work in. You see people struggling at this crossroads. And like, can you imagine yourself not being in a shelter? No. Wow. You can't. No, I don't want to imagine it. Really, you can't. Can you imagine? No, I can't imagine. Can't.
I can't. Nothing. Yeah.
Can you imagine yourself a millionaire with counting $1 billion?
Right.
No, I can't. So that's that. But people are plugged in, the earphones, the text, the TV, all the trinkets in life, they're plugged in and subdued, saying your only survival is to, I guess, just make it.
Make it,
Just make it, not be happy, not be It can't be effortless. It's gotta be a struggle. A struggle, a struggle.
I've even heard people say, what would I do with $12 billion? I can't even spend that much money.
Yeah, that's just one thing that just came to mind, as we were sitting up here, conversing about various topics. Set, right? Set, as in Satan, as in the devil, Lucifer, Beelzebub, the evil one, right? Right. In the Kemetic tradition, he was known as Set. In the story of Osir, Set, and Haru, right. The way the story goes, Set is the twin brother of Osir. Osar. He was jealous of him, that jealous energy. Had him knocked off, right? Set, chopped his body up. So Set, wasn't looking for him, couldn't find. Well, found everything except for the balance.
No, she didn't chop him up.
Set chopped him up. Set chopped him up.
Split the essences up.
Right.
Split the essences up and spread the essences out.
Right. So she found everything except for the balance. And because of her sorrow so deep, so much for her husband, she ended up having the immaculate conception. Right? She had her rule. Ended up teaching her son the ways of Set, what happened, so that Haru can go to battle against Set. But the idea was Haru never killed Set; he only subdued him. Because the reason being, Set, the more of the story is that Set, that evil depiction of, the personification of evil, is simply our Lord nature. Right. And since Set used communication, right, as his main tool, he's represented as when Sebek is not in balance. So he's not communicating truth, the word of God, he's communicating right, the beliefs, the thinking, the thoughts out of line. So Sebek is represented, the other side of Set is Sebek, and the other side of Sebek is Set. Right. Again, which is another reason why it's not that Set is to die, as long as we get our faculty in line, right? And then Set works for God.
But didn't she bring him back or something?
I
Set.
She brought him back.
Female, she brought back.
Manifesting in essence.
Didn't she go over him and create life? Yeah, with her wings, and she brought him back, or either he ejaculated and they had a baby.
Well,
Yeah.
maybe
It's her root, right?
Right.
So, right. Okay.
Yeah. But I will say that when you were describing that earlier, that's all I was like, that's Satan. Even though you're like septic or whatever that is, Sebek,
right?
I'm like, no, that's Satan.
Wow.
And that's all I'm saying. Because the thing is that, especially when you say trickster,
right?
Because the thing is that information, thinking, beliefs, a lot of those things may not be real. They're only information that just someone else has provided you. So you're reading it, but it's all derived from other people's thought process, not from your own or from your own intuition. And then you communicate these things that may be misinformation, they may be wrong thinking, they may be, we disguise it as intellect a lot of the times because it's book read, it's book learned, or it's life experienced. So that's why to me it came as not necessarily real, because what's real is really kind of what you feel and what you connect to and how it kind of comes to you. So that's why.
Well, it has to be the balance.
Well,
I think it's really what you're saying, because all that is true, but if you don't have the balance of each one, then this is going to be knocked off, and it's not. You're just going to take what you get.
Because because for me, I'm thinking of it as if you don't believe in anything, then you'll fall for anything. If you don't believe what's
because there's no balance.
Right. Yeah.
Cool. So I must have picked up on that vibration.
Right.
It's interesting that what manifests on the soul is the heart. And there's a saying in Buddhism that the heart has reason that the mind don't know.
That's right.
Now, if you look at the heart manifesting, right, the first organ to develop in the body from neoconception is a heartbeat. There's a heartbeat before there's a limbing system. There's a heartbeat before there's teeth.
Right.
There's a heartbeat before there's a brain. The brain is the last thing to ever develop. It's a stem that's pent up from the heart.
Right.
But it's interesting as you come from the soul that the first organ to develop
It's the heart.
is the heart. There's no teeth, there's no brain, there's just electromagnetic vibration of the heart. And the heart has electromagnetic field 15, about 400,000 times stronger than the brain, the mind, ever can put out. The brain does not create any energy, it uses energy. And the heart supplies it. And that's if you get a flat line, you're out of time, there is no mind. And the soul goes effortlessly back to where it's got to go because it's not held up in this crossroad between belief and imagination. But it's the heart that really has the reason. And they say the heart has more memory. So if it is the DNA, because if the sperm and egg come together, a heart is created, not a human,
Right.
but a heart that has a beat.
That's right,
Wow. So that would really behoove us more
To hold on
to really, when we are choosing mates or deciding to have sexual relations to create a human,
it's a
to
heart.
be more incompatible with one another, so that
The heart is shaped.
yeah, so what we create,
It's a heart.
yeah, I understand that, but I'm talking about
Yeah.
the
Being mindful.
what we are putting into that
Right.
heart to create the totality
Yeah.
of what it's going to be.
Yeah.
That behooves us to understand who we are as divine beings, so that we're not mating with somebody who's not compatible or going to
That's-
make a.
Yeah, you're right. That's the DNA.
Yeah, that's the real nation.
That's what the soul is going to put. The soul is going to imprint in that heart. You know, that's your being, your soul,
Yeah.
creating this heart, not a human.
Yeah,
But
so,
it's a heart.
see, females need to know who you picking. Don't be laying around with trees. It's true. It's true, because if she knows what she's picking.
Hold on to your heart.
Yeah.
If the heart goes, the mind.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the mother has to teach you first, and you can understand that. She don't teach you that, then you don't know. You
That's
go with
nurture.
everything. And you'll be saying, well, I'm a man, I'm sowing my seed.
It's hard.
And that has to do with they have no understanding.
They're taking the heart out.
Right.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Ooh, I got a lot of answers.
I mean, if you look at it, the soul, the first thing that comes into existence
It's the heart.
is not a physical body.
Right.
Exactly.
It's not.
But a heart comes into existence as electromagnetic field from the soul, the source.
Exactly.
So the heart is easy, number one disease in the world. When heart stops, everything stops. The soul goes.
And that's usually what they say, you die of a heart attack.
Right.
No matter what was going on in
Right.
the physical body, because the heart stops.
Hold on to the heart.
Wow. And you know what that brings us to? That's what our lesson next Sunday is going to be, about the heart, the mathematics of the heart. Wow, beautiful segue.
But that's a vortex.
So divine.
Miscommunication.
You got anything to do?
I have a question on the direction that the energy is going. Are we going up the tree or coming down the tree
At the same time.
Mhm.
in our consciousness? And what we focus on to get to that number 8 you're talking about. Since that's on the lower part of the tree, my question is, which direction are we traveling? Or is there a direction?
Not.
When you're coming, it's almost like a U. You know, when the atom comes down, it comes down and experiences, and then it goes back up to the source, because it's coming into all of this and balancing it out. That's the whole experience.
It's a full sense.
It's a full circle. It's almost like you're doing the whole thing that they say, that mankind right now is about right there.
Self-fulfilling
On the
prophecy.
way going up.
Self-fulfilling prophecy.
I mean,
You said
because we're like the
Fulfilling prophecy.
sixth root race of consciousness on the planet right now.
That's why it's in the science of self, SOS, the self-fulfilling prophecy. It should manifest. It will become effortless. It's when we get that sense of effortless.
Because that's what intuition is.
Right.
You don't think, you just know it.
It's a knowing.
It's a knowing.
It's a
Right,
knowing.
right.
You said we 6 right now?
Sixth root race.
Did I answer your question?
Yeah.
Partially it does, but if Rich looked at that, and drew that design you, we're in the lower part. It looks like you answered the question without answering it directly. The energy was coming down first, and that was my question: which way is the energy going? And now that you're saying it's going back up, then it must have had come down first.
Right,
It came down effortlessly.
right.
To get back up, it must be an effortless approach. It came down effortlessly. And we must, whatever we're working on, it must be an effortless process.
To gather all of this for the perfection. Because remember, the atom that we are, when that atom came in, it split. So it had a incarnation here, and it had an incarnation here, because that one cannot contain it.
It was
all.
easy.
Right. So when we do this, we have to balance all of this craziness, all of the questions that we're asking, all of the things we know and we don't know. We sit here, well, it ain't up, it ain't down, it ain't right, it ain't wrong. You know what I mean? All of that, we have to perfect it. And then take that perfection of what we are as the soul atom, as those who saw the sin eater, that little thing that, that perfect little thing that came out and the sin eater ate, has to take all of that back. Yes, into creation. And I always say that what God or the creation does is when we get there, bite your head off.
That's
You're
synchronicity.
food for the cosmos. Because it had to have its expression here. On the totality of this planet.
Certainly effortless.
Exactly.
Synchronicity is what really was described as dynamic.
And that's where your intuition is. It's no thinking, it's no thought, intuition. When you get there, when you get the wisdom, because you've collected all of this and you've gotten here. And then you become in the oneness.
Yeah, so ideally we came down. Now we're going back up. That's a beautiful.
Was it a struggle coming down?
Nah.
It's all back. Because what we perceive.
Back to the cross.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
And it's only a struggle until we begin our identification. When we begin to identify our devotion, all set is devoted to all said. And then it becomes easier and easier because our thinking is going to change.
Right.
Which is going to change our beliefs. It means that the information, communication is even more important than a change altogether. DNA. Which will affect our imagination. What brings us joy to the worldly things. We can bring joy and pleasure now. And doing the work, knowing that we're ascending, going back up. Our choices are made differently.
Yeah, because then you have the will to be a leader. Because most people are afraid of this part right there, being a leader. I don't want to be a
Because
leader.
they don't want to be back. They don't want to walk alone.
Right.
Because sometimes, no, a lot of times you will have to walk alone.
They don't want to be held accountable.
And that's true
Exactly.
too. Right. Exactly.
And it's like it's going on all the time. Not just the monthly moon cycle, but also on this daily cycle. What happens is at sunrise, and for those who know the Chaldean order, how the days are named, starting with Saturn, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 are the days. This is Saturn, Jupiter, Thursday, Tuesday, Mars, Sunday, the Sun, Venus, Friday, Mercury, Wednesday, and Monday, the Moon. Even though coming down, they're not in the order of the days of the week, but they're in the order of the days of the planetary hours, energy. And the day is Sunday. So at sunrise today, the sun's energy was most prevalent on the earth. And if you divide the sunrise by sunset, by the minutes, the total minutes, you divide the total minutes by 7. That will let you know how many minutes, right, per the sun, during the sunlight hour, will each planetary energy have its effect. Meaning after the sun would be Venus. After Venus would be Mercury. After Mercury would be the moon. After the moon would be Saturn. And back down so forth. Saturn, Jupiter, Mars. Meaning every so many minutes, these energy will have its effect on the earth. Which means that we will know when to be active, when not to be active. When to think, when not to think. When to be creative, when not to create. When to have, do aggression, manly stuff, or when to just chill and do nothing. Each hour of the day, based upon the minutes of sunrise and sunset, will give us an order of how these energy move even throughout the day. Yes, sir.
The traits of the soul, I guess, how many people have reached that trait and state in that condition, that can communicate that it is souls which they operate out?
None personal for me, just through, just reading and studying, right. I mean, I have glimpses, personal glimpses of, wow, that's what it's like. But just to be there 24/7, I know of no one personally, but I'm around people who've gotten glimpses just as much as I have. Okay, and I'm confident that through their sharing is just the vibration what resonates with me when we were in close communion.
What was this question? Who has the trait? Everyone. Like someone say, someone is powerful, strong, and there you go right there. So be someone who has a fully developed soul, pointing out.
Right. Fully developed, soul-infused personality. You have no questions about it. They here. These faculties are open. These faculties are open.
I would almost argue that a baby would. Because they have not yet been conditioned. So we all came from that. The thing is that we're conditioned to not be of that. Because I believe that that's our true, it is our true essence of who we are. And when you're fresh from the womb until you're programmed, you are the true essence of a person. I've always said, if you want to know how to react, look at how children react. Children are the most honest.
Very.
Right. Yeah. They don't know any political correct. They don't know any restrictions on anything that they say or anything. And even when you yell at a child, they don't hold on to that. They come right back to you for that love. Because they understand what that is. But as an adult, you grow and be like, oh, that person got no attitude. Bump them. I'm good. Right. So I would say that we all were examples of that. Now we have to get back to that.
I would take that as an example, but it may not be the best example. And the only reason I'm saying is because a baby doesn't have their will in place.
It's developed.
Is developed, meaning the ability to make conscious choices.
Well, they are genius until the age of 1, but the input, that sensory input.
And at that point, they're all.
I don't necessarily know, because I'm gonna tell you like this. I don't know if you've ever really watched a small child, but children pick up on vibrations. Yeah, very much so. This person doesn't care for me. Okay, I'm over here. Oh, come to me. No, sweetie, I already picked up that you're not really caring for me, so I'm gonna go hang on over to this person. So they may not be able to communicate it in words, but it's reflected in their actions. Very much so. Very much so. Children are very in tune.
I agree with that.
But for that, they may not be able to say it, but they are very much in the action of it and communicating with their body language and things of that nature. So beyond a verbal communication, I believe that they are very much showing where they desire to be.
I think they come through this, no doubt. Right. They come into existence because kids, you see, they're basically genius until 1 is the input, it's the sensory input that you put into the child that probably can take them back to their soul. But I understand what you're saying, but they are pretty impressionable. in that physical body.
Right.
They got it. I mean,
Feelings right here.
right. And
So feelings
Until
come with
around
baby.
about what age?
So it's the same.
oh,
Because when
they,
you say a child.
the window is open
what
from
age?
1 to 7. All the ingrains, all beliefs, is shaped. So that's why you got to be careful
Right.
for that first 7 years.
Right.
But most people don't handle that stuff good for
Right.
the first 7 years. I know my parents did.
Exactly.
You're right.
It was sink or swim. Come on.
Right.
You
But
know.
to me, I would say that that's trying to say that the innocence, which to me, once you, because I know, like, yeah, okay, I'm a designer, artist, kind of stepped away from it. But as a designer, they say, you know, you have to have a philosophy. My philosophy was always to remain curious, which is childlike,
Good trait.
meaning that I want to always be open to information.
Mhm.
And as an adult, and I've even been perceived like, why would you say that you're childlike? Because the thing is that children will go to things that someone else may tell them that's dangerous.
Curiosity.
That's a. But they have a curiosity that allows them to explore things they aren't restricting themselves. So.
That's at
to
9.
kind of-
That's probably at 9 coming back up.
But what I'm saying is that to say that a child, because they are impressionable, because they are innocent, because really in my mind, I'm thinking when you're really in the soul, you understand that there is no right or wrong. So it is a level of naivety that you are living in. So it's that innocence that allows you to not go into experiencing with an impression of that experience other than that's something that I just passed through. You know what I mean? So that's why I want to say I don't necessarily want it to be, because I feel like it's kind of this throwing off the fact that we come, it's the born again thing. If you want to look at Christianity, they say they're born again because they're trying to take you back to the essence of that purity of birth. So that's why I say from birth, we are that. And as we go through life, we become restricted to the earth, thinking that, oh, we're only defined by this, we're that. Children don't know race, children don't know. So we implant, as society implants these thoughts
So
into
what world
us.
are we operating out of soul, or are we operating out of the physical essence?
Well, they are coming from innocence, and then we are
That's true.
implanting these thoughts into them as their parents, their mothers, their fathers. We're restricting them to be
Sure, that's what we say.
what
So
they should not be.
we're at 10. We're not at 1.
Well, they were at one. We
Yeah.
took them to
That's
10.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. That is exactly
Right.
what the female has to learn.
Right.
Because when she learns that,
Mhm.
she's not going to allow her child to be
Exactly.
stifled
And
or
brought down.
down. She will be
That's-
able
And
to
that's what
keep them up, you know, and keep them floating. And so that's why
I'm
we have
subduing the
to.
senses.
Yeah, that's why we have to get back to that.
Putting the sedation onto them, because that's the thing is, as they go through life, we're placing the sedation on
Right.
them. They didn't come out with the sedation.
Right.
We place the sedation
Right.
on them.
Right.
So that's why I would say they're 1 and we bring them down to 10.
Yeah,
And then we
yeah.
ask them, why aren't they at 1 or 5 or 4? Well, you just told them they can't do anything.
Right.
So now you want to know why they aren't doing anything.
They're at a
They're just sitting
crossroads.
around.
Right.
Okay.
Back to the
I
crossroads.
said,
So is it saying, it's safe to say it's
we here.
important to communicate as well as explaining to.
Yes.
That's
That's
what
what
the
she
key.
said.
She's saying the kid because the kid can't talk it, but I guess they
They're
can.
being.
They being.
They are being.
What we're
being.
trying to say, I think what it's saying is, I think the communication is just important as being.
No, it's
Is that
not.
what I'm asking? The
No,
word.
because the thing is that when you to be is what you are.
Right,
I am
right.
Is to be. So you don't have to.
You-
So you don't have to communicate anything.
Exactly.
You just have to be. And when you be, you are everything that you are. Period.
I understand what you're saying.
You know, and it has nothing to do with learnt.
Right.
It's just.
Because people think learnt is no, unlearn.
Right. We have to unlearn to be.
Right.
And that's what we're,
Right.
yeah, and that's
So
what we're in the
that's what I'm
process of doing.
Yeah, so a child has not, the child is not learned.
Right.
So they are who they are.
Exactly.
So what
And
about
that's why
when
we're,
you're-
that's why we're the sixth root race, because the fifth root race was already learning that. So now we should be evolving and taking it up to the next place of just being. That's what, right, effortlessly.
So what about when you read to your child before it gets here?
You gotta communicate.
Well,
So you have to be careful what
you
you read.
Right,
Well,
exactly.
the heart has more memory than the brain.
And
46,000
then-
neurons.
But you have to prepare yourself before you even think about having that intercourse relationship to get pregnant.
Then transfer to the heart.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
And so, and then when you move away from breastfeeding that child, it takes away from them also.
Nurture.
You've
Right.
already made a decision at that point to disconnect, have your child disconnect from you.
But it's time, but you'll know that it's time for him to
Right.
disconnect. from
Yeah,
you.
the time to disconnect is when they get certain teeth in their mouth. Right.
That's how it is.
No, it is. It is. Yeah, until they get their, called their eye teeth. Top 4 and top 5 eye teeth. It's when they should be weaned.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, you talking about that? I'm
yeah,
just talking about
so
this
what are
connection.
you weaning them into? You have to think about what you're weaning them into.
So back to your analogy, the reason why I made that comment, because I liken it to, if I can use the analogy of a spirit without a body, a soul without a body. Because here on the earth, right on the earth is where the work is done to grow and evolve. You know, if you don't have a body, then you're not doing the work to grow and evolve. It's as simple as that. And that's why I was likening to the example of the baby. Even though the baby come here is already pure close to the intuition and wisdom faculty, because they have yet developed the intellect, the deductive reasoning to think, to constantly make choices. They're just operating strictly.
But that's what I'm saying is that, but that's only if you look at it an alert way.
Right.
Because a child, you feed a child something they don't want,
What they feel you're like.
they
don't
done.
want
They're done with it. So they make decisions. So
Right.
don't think that they don't make decisions, because children are making decisions every moment of the day. And as long if you're around a child, and I mean from tiny to what'd you say, 4, 5, 6, 7, before they really have understood what we've put on them as restrictions, as locks. Don't touch that. Don't do this. Don't. And you live in a world of not. Then what do you become? You become a prisoner. You become locked in. And now we are people who are trying to break out of the prison that the world has put on us. And the thing is that because there's a saying that the greatest ascension is to become a creator, and that is the artist. You know, and that's when you can create something from nothing. But the thing is that you have to imagine that things can be created from nothing. So if you keep saying, oh, well, a child is not full because they haven't reasoned, no, they don't know why they don't like it. They may not know it, but intuitively they do. And that's when you come to the higher self, is when you feel intuitively that something is not correct, because you're now listening to that spirit.
Okay, let me ask you this, how about creating that?
Creating
As
is
a co-creator is manifesting this, brings, you know.
Bringing things, children do it, they know
do
when
it
they
all the
cry to
time.
make mommy come.
Yeah,
That's right, that's creative, right,
Yeah.
creative. You said live in the
Yeah.
environment, live in the moment, exactly.
Right.
And children know.
And take their cereal, throw it over, and they'll make it.
And that's
Yeah,
creating the environment.
No.
but
Yeah.
they are processing.
Right.
Now
Right,
we
that's
have
what I
those-
said, that's what I was telling you. They
Now we have those children.
will spit it out. They're not gonna sit in there. They have to come in somewhere.
Now with those children.
Not all the time.
Now with those children.
Only, if you look at a very small family, you probably feed them things that you ain't never even thought about eating. Spinach, broccoli, carrots. Adults, they gave up vegetables.
Right.
And you're trying to feed it to a child, and depending on how you're feeding it to that child, yeah, maybe you say, oh, well, the child learned it from the parent. The parent ain't said that I don't like broccoli or vegetables to this child. I mean, you know, I was pregnant.
In essence, they are when they don't eat it, when they're,
This is what I want to hear.
the nourishment plays an important part when you train
Well,
a child.
But this is the thing is that, okay, now I was pregnant. And when I was pregnant, I craved apples. I like apples, but I was low in magnesium. I craved steak. I'm low in protein. I found out I had a protein deficiency. So the thing is that that child, that being that's in you will tell you what it needs. Period. Because your body is lacking what it needs to grow properly. But you have to be in tune with, with what's growing in you and not what you desire from you.
But I'm taking a little step further back. Before you even begin to think about being a parent or having a child, it behooves you to get the proper nourishment that you need
Yes.
in the beginning to transfer that.
Yes, if you can, if you have that ability.
Look,
Still at 10. Yeah, I just want to say that I'm done with this part of the presentation. Seems though we're going to another direction.
yeah.
No,
Get back to two.
But yes,
Officially close out. There's no more questions about the topic of the day.
yes.
I don't know, they can be resumed now. Right.
He said, let me sit down first. Right?
Okay, my child.
Yes. That's the truth.
But you know, when we look at this whole chart, it goes back to who we are.
Right.
What are we gonna do with the information that we've just obtained? Because, you know, a lot of times we come here, we hear it, feels good, good, and we go out on the outside, and what we do? Same thing.
Crossroads.
Get back into our, yes, we get back to the routine. But what we really should strive to do is to take the information, incorporate it in your life, and then make that change so that we can evolve sacredly.
Yeah.
But I need some more of that, so I can.
Well, that's why you want the class, so that you will get the understanding. Because all of this is in your class. All of this, excuse me, are we conversating or we at the crossroads?
Right, you at the crossroads. Meet you at the
Because, you know, a lot of times people tell me, well, this is in your curriculum.
Yeah.
Okay, we may, you know, we use this and we use the Hebrew as well. Okay, so you're gonna get two aspects of it. You'll get Egyptian and you'll get Hebrew. All right, so.
On what night?
In your class. In your class, when you get there, right, in your Tuesday night class, when you get there. Just be patient.
Show up.
A lot of times,
We do.
a lot of times people want something and they're not ready for it.
That's right.
And I see you, so I'm taking you at a pace where you can absorb it and put it in your life and express it. But half the time you just take it in.
Crossroads.
Right, they stay at the crossroad. You have to express it and put it out into your life, into work. And that's what we're talking about. It's not about us just sitting up here and taking in the information mentally, but it is to absorb it and to express it out into our world. That's where that's the biggest thing. And the way that you'll see that is that your world will start being different for you. You won't have all the aches and pains. Now you will have aches and pains because you are here. Because we're in the world. So you're gonna have the aches and pains, but to the level and the degree that your aches and pains are not gonna be so horrendous for you.
You can deal with it.
Yeah, you can deal with it.
You can cope.
And you can cope. So that's what we're talking about. And see, once we see ourselves doing it and we see others manifesting that, not that you're mimicking yourself after someone else, but you say, okay, you know, maybe I need to tone down here. Maybe I need to lift myself here. Maybe I need to do this or that, until you get yourself to that balancing point where you are really manifesting who you say that you are, and you are being it effortlessly. And you're not saying, well, hello, yes, this is Miss Dixon, and I'm calling to talk to you about. No, that's that office voice that you hear people say, that you're gonna hear me speak the same way, whether I am here or there or anywhere. Because what you see is what you get. That's it.
Like you say, we either can control it or we can imagine controlling it. If you lose imagination and you lose the ability to control it, my God, then what? Anxiety, depression. That's that crossroad is so important. That's where the emotional intelligence comes. That's where the resilience comes, the ability to bounce back, to deal with it, roll with the punches, optimism, never give up, curiosity, gratitude, generosity, to find yourself in the right place at the right time. But you'll be synchronized.
Okay, so we're gonna close it out. Any messages or things that we need to know about in the community that's happening? I know that, what's her name, Mama Malaya?
Yeah, she's having an ascension service.
Oh, come on, she's having an ascension service?
Yeah, she's having an ascension service this coming, today at 3 o'clock in her apartment in Fiji County. Ladyburg.
Yeah, for her son. So anybody who wants to go, we're gonna be leaving here about 2:30, 3 o'clock, and she's going over there. So we're caravan over if anybody's interested.
Everybody knows Mary made a transition.
Yes. He lived a good life. So you know, DC's gonna really be partying. You know, because I don't think that they're gonna be sad about it, because I think, you know, no matter what Marion did and what he was all about, he lived his life. He was himself. You know, no matter whether he was here, there, or anywhere, Marion was Marion. And that's the most important thing that we have to learn about who we are, is to be divinely yourself, whatever that may be. You know, if you're a stick in the mud, then be a stick in the mud all the time. You know, if you're vivacious and wonderful and great, be vivacious and wonderful and great all the time.
Just don't paint my Bible with a bucket of blood and mud.
There you go. There you go.
Change the brush.
The other announcement, I want to make sure that everybody knows that we're going to have our own thankful celebration here at the ISE. Ashep has lovingly said that he would be here by 12 noon. So if anybody wants to be here at that time, otherwise we'll be, you know, from 3 o'clock on until the following Friday. We're going to be here. We ask that you bring something that, you know, something to share. Either some plates, some napkins, some forks, something, anything, you know, even a little paper bags, you know, that you bring home your groceries in. We use them here at the Institute, so we can use those. If you have some incense, we can use your incense, little tea lights, we can use that here. Water, $3.99 for a pack of 24s. You can bring some water for us to share. We do love that. Okay?
Or some food.
Or some food. I have been requested to make a lasagna, vegetable lasagna, so I'm going to do that. What's his name? Elocution said that he's going to bring smoked salmon. I think somebody's going to do macaroni and cheese. I don't know what else is.
You don't have anybody make
rosemary. I'm just messing.
You got souffle on this. I'm just souffle, not just sweet potato.
Oh, now the cooks are talking.
Yeah.
We're gonna have, Elocution is also gonna bring some music. There's going to be some wine here as well.
Fine wine.
Yeah, fine wine. So it will truly be a celebration. It'll truly be a celebration for us who regular Thanksgiving. We still have our noonday meditations. You know, we'll do that. You know, finish out the week. Next Sunday we will be doing a movie. John Hill's going to bring a movie, and it is about the heart. I've already viewed it. It's very, very good. It is not on the East Coast yet. It's only on the West Coast. And you know, John does a lot of people who are in Hollywood, so that particular movie has not been released yet. So
it's on the Heart Intelligence.
It's on the Heart Intelligence. I think you guys will really enjoy it after this conversation today. Just tied right into it, you know. So when I see things like that, that let me know that we are in divine order. I mean, Dr. Hall came in and he started talking about, you know, the rhythm, synchronicity, and that's what I had just talked about just before you got here. So it's like we're there. We have to know that we're there. The Institute of Sacred Evolution is a very, very important institute at this time, whether you know it or not. Because there is no one else doing what we are doing here. Nowhere else. Nowhere. So if we want these doors to stay open, we have to give contributions. I know that my students are, giving their money, for the classes itself, but it's going to take a little bit more of that. It's going to take for us to talk to other people, say, bring them here. Yes, it's a small place. We got pillows. We can put the pillows in. We used to have the door open and the chairs outside. So we can bring the people in here to keep this organization going, because I'm going to tell you, right now, this is 2014, but in 2020 or 2030, all of you guys are going to be ministers out there helping those people who are in those, filling up those mega churches today. Because I'm not talking about just Washington, D.C. I'm talking about Tennessee, California, Montana, Nevada. All of them need to understand right here what we were just talking about, because the majority of the people out there are asleep and they don't know. And when we come in here and we talk to one another, we're talking to somebody who already knows. We just trying to wake them up. Say, hey, okay, start doing what you're supposed to be doing. Because when the brother came in here, he was already rude. You understand what I'm saying? So now we're just trying to be who we say that we are. And this is the quest, and this is where it starts. It starts at a small little place, and we grow and we flourish. None of us are better than the other. We're all on different levels at the same time, simultaneously, as we're moving along down the road. So let us start acting the way that we're supposed to. Tell people, hey, give us a donation. We have DVDs here to be sold. We have books back there to be sold, and even $1 keeps the doors open.
Okay. And she knew I was going to say something. I don't know if anybody got Minister Dorita Dixon's email this week, but it was on my heart. We talked about this on Sunday, about the funding. I have been in churches for 30 years. I came here in August, Crystal and I. And when a family member, you have to understand the difference between what her personal life is and her personal finances and this place, okay? And it's the same. When I say about being in church for 30 years, I have seen the people raise money, and they didn't have to go on a GoFund, and they didn't have to do this. And I was talking to Brother Tahuti on Sunday, and I said, when I used to get my giving statement, y'all, if you saw the email, we get your giving statement so you can file your taxes in January and claim that. At the end, I would have given that church $10,000, and I could use that right now. What am I saying? When a family member all of us have family members, whether we like them or not. I have a family member right now who is on the streets of DC. She's homeless, but she's my family member. She needs me. The ISC is a family member. It needs us. If we expect this door to stay open, and I'm not sure we realize that this door can close. I have seen places close. I have seen churches close. So it's not, and so at the end of my email, she is a sower in my life. I see her higher than the pastor that I sat up under for 30 years. She has brought me to the truth. So since she has sown in my life, and this place has sown in my life, we need to sow in her life and in this business, or in this center. I'm sorry, I corrected myself. So we can sit here and, so when I disagree with her when she say $1, $10,000, $1 may not cut it. And she doesn't mind me saying this. We need to give more than $1. Because I've seen $10,000 raised in a church service on one Sunday. I've seen $2,000, $3,000. A friend of mine who passed away in 2003 was sitting up under a pastor who his wife believed and had faith. He did not. The door was about to close. he said, I hope we can get it. His wife said, no, we're going to get it. It was 15 of us in this storefront church. He needed $3,000. He had people who had just come out of prison. He had people who got off the street on drugs. No, they weren't the Bill Gates sitting in that church. At the end of that service, I remember my foot was broke. We didn't raise $3,000. With the 15 people, he had raised $5,000. And as Dorita teased me about the little church dance that I used to do on my broke foot, I praised them what I thought was the God. We can do this, as well as bring in other people. But it starts here. And I'm just gonna say, like a family member, when a family member is in need, we go to that family, we help that family. Thank you.
Thank you.
Asante.
Thank you. Any other announcements for the community? Things that are happening? Anybody pregnant? Getting married?
I'm getting married.
Oh, you're getting married? You getting pregnant?
Oh my
Okay. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put the little man on the box. To give some energy there, so he'll be one of our men, and we're gonna pray ourselves out. And we have food in the back. We have some chili, some hummus, and some good stuff. Thumbs left. I think we're yeah. Yeah.
I can't say
Go ahead, while we're waiting for Darlene. You wanna say something while we're waiting for Darlene?
No, I just wanted to say, we think that we the only ones talking about this stuff. We the only one know what's going on, right? But defense probably talk about this every day. They call it a woman.
Okay.
And cross the crossroad. Thank you. That's for listening. Yeah. Yes. It's quiet.
That's when you know your voice.
At least we're happy.
Well, while we're waiting, are you sensing the energy that's going around the room through our hands? Just feel it. Still the person who's next to you. And that's what we're talking about, being able to sense, taking time, being, to pause and feel, sense. So finding that oneness within inside of ourselves, standing on our square and affirming peace, be still. Be still and know that we are the divine ones. You are who we've been waiting for, young one. We salute you, we love you, and we impermeate you to do thy will in and through and around us this day, knowing that we have but to ask, and so shall we receive the divine, the glory of who we are as divine people. And for this time that we have spent together in oneness and harmony, we say Ashe, 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 Ashe,
Ashe.
So it is. Thank you for that.
How you?
again. What's the effort? Okay. All right. How you doing? You got all the good stuff. There's no stuff.
I got some. Okay, technically, don't get, I have crystals and everything in the coffee.
I know. No. It's a crossing.
I got real. Yeah, okay. You got to
A lot of conversation.